a quick ball towards Whiteley. It squares it towards G.
Everywhere we go, everywhere we go, there's Bromley boys making all the noise. Everywhere we go.
Yes, ladies and gents, welcome back to another edition, another episode, another conversation. Let's call this one the deep dive. Oh, I like that. I love how I make things up just on the spur of the moment. Let's call this one From Bromley with Love, the deep dive. After every game, I'm promising this like I'm going to keep doing this throughout the season. But after every game, it's always important to do the deep dive. For those of you who are long-standing subscribers to the Substack page, obviously you know that what I tended to do last season was after every game, maybe a day or two later, I'd drop the good, the bad, and the ugly. That will be coming on the Substack page. Thank you to Peter Etherington, who was at the game, Bromley versus Barnet, on Saturday evening. He is writing the good, the bad, and the ugly because I was at the airport in Lisbon. So that will come out on the Substack page. So for those of you who like to read your deep dive, your analysis, head there. For those of you who are subscribing to the YouTube channel and like the content that we're doing on From Bromley with Love, the deep dive is now on the YouTube channel as well. But this one's a quick one, a visual one, an audio one. I'm delighted that with the deep dive, every game, the idea is to invite people onto the panel. Again, if you're interested in taking part, contributing to anything to do with From Bromley with Love, whether written or audio, visual, whatever, please do get in touch with me. But I'm delighted to bring onto the deep dive for the first deep dive of the season, looking at Bromley 0, Barnet 2. I'm delighted to bring on a very, very good friend of mine, the esteemed former editor of the great Bromley fanzine Two-Footed Tackle, Colin Head. Before I bring Colin onto the screen, it's important to note for those Bromley fans who don't know, Colin and I were just talking off camera before I pressed record, and I said to Colin, our era was a long time ago watching Bromley, and I say that respectfully. And the reason why I say that is I've been watching Bromley with Colin now for, it's got to be 25 years plus, got to be. Might be like 26, 27 years. And that's a long time. That's a long time. We're talking back from the Ryman 1 South days all the way through to Bromley being a playoff side in the National League. So I'm delighted to have Colin on to kind of share his thoughts on the game. Obviously, the thoughts that Colin says are the thoughts of Colin and Colin alone. So if you take umbrage with anything he says or I say, by all means, get in the comments below. I'm sure most of you can find us on Facebook or in the ground itself as well. But anyways, enough chatter. Let me bring Colin. Let me bring Colin on.
Hey, mate.
How you doing, Cole?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah.
So let's chop it up. We've been talking quite a bit off camera before I pressed the record button, bits and pieces about the game. But I said let's save most of the analysis for the actual recording itself. So Bromley 0, Barnet 2. 2 games played, 2 defeats, no goals. I say this next comment with obviously tongue in cheek because it doesn't matter. But Bromley are bottom on last place in the National League. For those who care about things like that, they are. But I think more importantly than all that, Cole, and let's start here. I was at Halifax for the opening game of the season, watched the Barnet game on my phone in the airport. You obviously were in the ground for the Barnet game, and that's why it's good to have you on, because I want to know how it felt for people in the ground versus someone like me who watched it on TV. So I'll start here. To me, and I think Andy Woodman has admitted as much as well in his YouTube interview, he used the word clumsy. I thought it was a disjointed performance. And there's a lot of factors around the whys of that, but I felt it was a disjointed performance. The phrase I kept thinking during the first half was, we're playing with the handbrake on because we look like we're afraid to try and impose ourselves. Again, because I think there are a lot of caveats around what's going on for the squad right now. And it looked like we were hoping Barnet wouldn't do anything, as opposed to Okay, let me rephrase it. It looked like we would have been happy with 0-0. If that
Absolutely.
makes any sense. It looked
Yeah.
like it was, boy, we don't have our best 11 at the moment. We got loads of people out. Best performance right now is backs against the walls, damage limitation. Let's hope Barnet don't do anything. And if we get 0-0, that's probably a positive result. And the reason why I say 0-0, Cole, is because we didn't like we were ever really going to score, right?
I thought we were looking for a mistake.
Yes,
basically. We were written it long, and we were hoping that one of their defenders would slip up and we could cash in on that, because you know that Cheek and Merritt can do that if they do make a mistake. But they didn't make any mistakes.
Right. That's a really good way of putting it. So good waffle from me, and you just summed it up with that we were looking for a mistake of their own. And in fact, actually, it's good that you use the word mistake, because the team who did gift the mistakes was us.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But let's start there. What did you make of it overall as a performance?
As a Bromley performance, we're trying to fit square pegs in round holes. I thought Jude did a really good job at wing back, but he's not a wing back. You know, we desperately missed Parsley. I really like him. Hopefully, he'll be available for Tuesday. But you know, he did a good job. But defensively, there were a couple of errors, and Barnet cashed in on them. Barnet were a really good side, especially in the first half. Kabamba's a quality striker. I really like Kanu, and it almost done us a favour that he got booked because they had to take him off at half time, and he was causing us massive problems. Going forward for Bromley, we went really direct, and nothing fell for us. We looked a little bit more dangerous when Louis came on, because obviously Louis can do something out of the blue. You know, you kind of rely on him to do something special in a circumstance like that. Corey Whiteley played really well, and that shot at the bar, that could have been a lifeline going into half time. So there were flashes of, oh, maybe we're still in this. But after the second goal, it was like, well, I don't know if we're going to score two. You know, that was, it was, I don't know. The midfield, obviously we miss Bennings. We probably need another body in there. It was. I felt like we looked like we were still in pre-season, which effectively we are, because you've got so many players that are injured, and we're still trying to recruit. You know, I was thinking we've lost maybe 6 of the team that got to the playoff semi-final. That's a massive rebuild. It's not an easy job.
You, I can't remember if it was on Twitter or if it was on Facebook, said something recently, maybe a couple of weeks ago, and it's. I have to strike the right tone here and make sure this none of this comes across as like sanctimonious or pretentious or anything like that. But the reality for a club like Bromley, with no EFL pedigree, no EFL history, I sometimes think that where people think Bromley are compared to what Bromley actually are is that it's a complete misnomer. People have no real concept of. They see 7th FA Trophy 7th and think, right, so Bromley are a top 7 team. I will always maintain that Bromley have significantly overperformed in the last 3 seasons, right? We are still not a top tier National League side off the pitch or on the pitch. We mix with the big boys because we overachieve, right? We're still 7-8 seasons deep into the National League due a bad season. We still haven't had one. In all the time that we've been in this league, a bad season for those of us who've been here on the ride was the very first one. And that wasn't even bad, because the whole point was just surviving the National League if we can. And I think we came 13th or 14th, right?
That's right, 13th, yeah. We did, yeah.
So we've never really had a struggle of sorts, but because of that, I think people think we are top tier, right? Barnet, and this isn't trying to make excuses, Barnet, lest people forget, are an EFL side. They've had significant, historically they've got they've got some non-league pedigree as well, the whole Barry Fry thing, blah blah blah. But they're effectively a National League side, who are yet another one of the sides who I call are at the top of the funnel in the National League, all trying to get out. And they're another one of the sides who will try to take advantage of the fact that Wrexham and Notts County are gone.
Yeah.
Now, the point of me saying all that is, you said a couple of weeks ago, Bromley are back to square one. And there's always been a sense of us in the National League of how much of our core can we actually retain? How much can we, how many seasons can you go? And I think I kind of intimated at this in the article that the last article I wrote in the interview with Andy Woodman. How many times can we expect Andy Woodman to pull a rabbit out of the hat? Okay. So going off what you said, Swomney, basically irreplaceable.
Yes.
In both aspects, attacking and defending. Fisher, exceptional talent, gone. Deji, can we find another one?
Yeah.
We lucked out in finding him. He's pretty much in the Charlton first team now. Stirk, I don't think I've seen a midfielder as complete as Stirk ever in the time that I've been watching Bromley, right? Just those four alone, right? All gone. And okay, yeah, Pasley may be a good replacement for Fisher. Charles Cook, we've had to get a new goalkeeper, etc. Right?
That's a big change as well.
Yeah, we basic and then when you add in the pre-season where loads of people got injured, that's why your pre-season comment is really interesting to me, because I feel like in the two performances I've seen thus far, it's like we're trying to gel now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And that's why I called the performance disjointed. And you said square pegs in round holes, etc. How much? Let's get the elephant in the room out of the way. How much of this do you think is okay? This difficult question, Cole. How much of this is injuries versus recruitment? Okay, and let me explain what I mean by that.
Yeah.
Let's say the whole squad was fit, right? So who's missing at the moment? Venins, Pasley's out suspended. Kepkewa is not fully fit yet. Tate Campbell has had to go back to Birmingham. So let's just say the squad that we'd actually recruited was all fit, and Woodman could pick from a fully fit squad.
Yeah.
Would we still be good enough, or do we still need extra bodies anyway?
We would probably still need one or two, but I don't think we'd be on nil points now, and I think we probably would have scored some goals as well. Yeah, I would say that we'd be if everybody was fit, I would think we can compete definitely and be the top half, which is it's interesting comments. I don't know if you watched all of the build up on TNT.
No, I missed all of that.
Aaron McLean said, and I thought he was spot on. He said Bromley have punched above their weight since promotion, and now the expectation is that we punch above our weight every season, and we have to be realistic that every season you have to improve to stand still in this league, because every year it's got harder than last year. Every year teams get better. You know, I take my hat off to teams like Wildstone and Maiden who do stay part-time and still stay in this league. That's incredible.
Yeah. I think, and I'm guilty of this, I think I was a bit naive in thinking once Wrexham and Notts County went that the league would level off a bit. But actually, Chesterfield have just replaced those two in terms of spending money. Oldham have replaced those two in terms of spending money. York have dropped untold sums of money.
I can't believe the players they're signing.
Actually, even let's look at Barnet. Let's even look at Barnet, because people like to pretend that Barnet and us are on some kind of level playing field, right? Okay, yes, we've got Cheek, but we've had Cheek for like 4 or 5 seasons. This isn't like, sometimes I think people think that we've just got Michael Cheek or something, and we just signed him. Like, he's actually been there a long time, right? Barnet have, I'm just going to pick some players who I think are all Football League players for Barnet. Kabamba, Kanu, Pritchard, Gorman. That's this is effectively through the spine of their team. I thought their midfield was quality, Gorman and Pritchard, etc. What's his name? Who's the guy they got a left back? They got him from what's his name? Cox, the left back. They got him from gosh. So sorry, I need to get this right, because bear with me, Cole. There's a key point. 33-year-old left back. Who did they get him from? But the point is, again, Football League pedigree, right? Let me find this guy's name again. Coker, Ben Coker. I think he was from, I want to say he's from Southend, but I could maybe have the names wrong. The point I'm trying to make fundamentally is, where we have to improve just to stay pace with Barnet. And that I say that out of respect to Barnet, right? So I guess I'm trying to add a bit of reality here. We're not trying to improve to keep pace with Chesterfield. They're out of our stratosphere in terms in terms of what they're doing and what they have the ability to do, right? When you make that point about having to improve, or we stand still just to stand still, I think teams like Barnet have improved, and we have to probably outspend what we're willing to outspend and find like special loans just to keep pace with them. If that makes sense. Barnet weren't, to the naked eye, to me, Barnet weren't anything special, right? But before Barnet fans who watch this get on to me about that, what I mean is Barnet didn't have to sweat. They didn't put in a performance where it was like, oh yeah, they're title challengers because they've done this, that, or the other. We were so weak and so poor that I don't think you can judge that Barnet performance and say, right, they're so good. If it was like a boxing fight, we barely landed any punches. Now, you could say that Barnet kept us at arm's length, but I think we were so timid that they will get much sterner. I think they will get much sterner tests than they got on Saturday. But even in me saying that, it still looked like they were keeping us at arm's length anyway. Say we upped it, I still think they possibly would have kept us at arm's length. If that
they were really well organised. But it's interesting you say that, because their manager said that afterwards, that he didn't think it was a great performance by them, but they did enough. You know.
Yeah. That's effectively what I'm getting at. Let's carry on the recruitment line.
Yeah.
Who, if you were to recruit, and I know Andy Woodman is looking, and I think we'll hear about some, whether we'll hear about them today. So we're recording this on Monday. So whether we'll hear some today or later this week, where would you recruit? Let's say he can only get 2 more bodies in. Where would you add those 2 bodies?
Centre mid. Definitely, we need another option in there. Maybe another striker. It's difficult to say. I mean, you've got Cheek, Marriott, Dennis. That should be enough, right? That's a good strike force. But something's not clicking. I don't know if our style of play suits certain player. I really don't know. But maybe another option up front. But definitely centre mid. That's the where. And I was encouraged by what I saw from Miller in a brief sort of cameo at the end. So I mean, I thought, he's going to win us a lot of free kicks and cause a lot of problems. He's kind of like the new Harry Foster, if you like. And if he can get the end product on the end of that, then brilliant. That would be great. I hope to see more of him on Tuesday.
Great analysis there in terms of the 20 minutes we saw. I thought, okay, you've got that same burst of speed that Harry's got. The whole thing we always had with Harry was, where's your goals, bro? Like, where's your end product in terms of the assist columns? But everything else, you could see what Harry Forster could do. Miller, I thought the same as you. I was like, okay, this guy is going to cause problems for defenders in that they'll have to decide if they're going to foul him. They'll either have to foul him or he's going to give the ball away. But something's going to happen. Because of how much pace he's got. So I get it. Just in 20 minutes, I get why Andy would recruit someone like that. How he fits him in long term, don't know. But he's probably not fit enough to even start anyway. But let's talk on you said centre midfield. So our midfield in the first game. In fact, let me put the formation up now that you're on the screen. Let's see if we can. Yeah. So that's the midfield for the second game. Crowhouse, Bingham, Whiteley. Right. In the first game, it was Bingham, Vennins, Crowhouse. Vennins went off after 50, and then it was Bingham, Crowhouse, Sablier. Arthurs is having to fill in at wing back because Pasley's not available. Pasley will be available on Tuesday, which means Arthurs probably goes into midfield. I would assume our midfield on Tuesday is Bingham, Arthurs, Whiteley. That is a significant improvement on the first 2 games, because effectively, Cole, what that would do is allow Whiteley to play the role he's used to, which is you are the midfielder who will pick the ball up and drive at the defense and look to create. You said we went long against Barnet, and we did, to Cheek and Marriott. I think we were forced to because we have no midfield. And I mean that respectfully. we have no. Whiteley basically couldn't play his usual role against Barnet because, well, who else was going to help Bingham out?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like if you look at that midfield three versus Barnet, it's no surprise to me that Gorman and Pritchard basically ran the show because there can't be any control with that midfield three. With all due respect to Ben Crowhouse, he's a talented youngster, but he's in a situation that he shouldn't be in right now, in so much as he's having to play because he has to play because we don't have the option to do anything else. Ben Crowhouse should be an option coming off the bench if we're trying to chase a game or something. Do you see what I mean? Corey Whiteley should be playing at the top of the midfield, not at the base of the midfield with Billy Bingham. So I think you're right. Vennings obviously is injured. Arthurs would make a big difference if he goes in there to add some bite and steel.
Yeah, definitely.
On Tuesday. But effectively, though, Cole, let's call it as it is. Tate Campbell was probably supposed to be the replacement for Stirk.
Exactly.
Stirk was an upgrade on Bingham. I know there are some fans who have significant issues with Billy Bingham. I'm not here to talk on that. I think this game is a squad game for me, and irrespective of individual fans, individual views on players, you need a squad. In an ideal world, Bingham is a squad player who comes in for when we have injuries, right? And we would have kept Ryan Stirk. But the reality is, Cole, we were lucky to get a Ryan Stirk in the first place, right? Yeah. We have no divine right to keep getting a player like Ryan Stirk. But to come back to you now, how are we going to replace Ryan Stirk? People are acting like it's just something you click your fingers at and just do. So,
exactly.
Where do we get a Ryan Stirk from now that Tate Campbell's had to go back to Birmingham?
Well, that's the big question, and it's not easy. Like, you've got to find someone of that talent who a league club is willing to let go for a season or even half a season. And if they're that good, are they going to let them go? But hopefully Bromley have got a track record of showing to clubs that if you lend us a player, he'll come back better. Because Stirk definitely did. Deji was fantastic for a second half of last season. And like we're a good model, whereas you look how much Kellen Fisher benefited from 6 weeks at Cray. He went there as a boy, came back as a man, and never lost his place in the Bromley team from Christmas onwards. And now he's playing in the Championship. So hopefully we can show league clubs, look, if they come to Bromley, that you're going to get a better player back at the end of it.
As we say, I think Bromley announcing a signing today, it would be great. Like, we could record this could drop, and by the mid-afternoon we hear that Bromley signed a midfielder. I agree. I agree with you. An extra body there is a must. But if push comes to shove and we can only field a midfield of Bingham, Arthurs, Whiteley on Tuesday, I think that's fine. I think,
especially if it's Passley coming in at right
exactly.
wing.
I think
that adds a stronger team already.
Yeah, that's a completely different dimension. All of a sudden now you have an attacking threat on the right-hand side. It probably would allow Topoloy to not be so timid on the left-hand side because it's a balanced side, as opposed to maybe Topoloy thinking, well, I've got to be more defensive because we're not ready yet. We've got two, like Topoloy in the first game had to play left-sided centre-back. Now he's gone to left wing. No, we're not ready yet, Cole. We haven't gelled.
No, that's right, exactly.
we haven't gelled properly yet. So that should make a bit of a difference, you would think. Let's look up the top of the pitch. Marriott and Cheek. It doesn't work for me, Cole. I don't think it's ever worked for me. I always think it's Cheek plus someone, but for me, it's never been Cheek plus Marriott. Louis came on with 30 to go and did what Louis does, in so much as Louis always drifts to find where the space is. And that's important, because without someone like Louis on the pitch, you automatically take away probably 50% of all the creativity that Bromley have on the pitch, because Louis will be looking, right, if I drop here, there's a possibility to create space there for someone else. Cheek played really well in the second half of last season once the strike force became him and Louis. I doubt Louis is fit enough to start on Tuesday.
Yeah.
What do you think's wrong with the strike force of Cheek and Marriott? Is it the
think
style
this,
we play, or just do those two just not work that well together?
I think it's possibly a bit of both. The style, I don't think our styles. I think Marriott's undoubtedly a proven goal scorer at this level, but I'm never sure if our style actually suits him.
Mm.
Because we've been very reliant on Sheik for quite a long time now. So I think we automatically look at him as like the ball goes to Cheek and we'll be all right.
Mm.
You know, so it's difficult for the guy playing next to him because you're always going to be seen as the other striker.
Yeah.
You know, it's not an easy job at all. Louis gives you more in the fact that he'll come and find the ball, you know, and we know over years that when Louis gets the ball, something special can happen. And that goes, I mean, you just think of the big moments that he's been involved in since the FA Trophy semi-final against Gateshead, and no one else at Bromley would ever have scored those 2 goals.
Mm.
He's so good. But then you have to indulge him because sometimes he'll come and find the ball and it won't be there because teams will shut the supply off.
Mm.
And Barnet were good at that.
If again, like I say, if Louis fit, then I think you go Louis and Cheek. But then it might just be it might just be that Louis is fit to play 60, and then Marriott has to come on. So you do it the other way around rather than having Louis on Louis on the bench. Last kind of talking point about the team before I ask you one final question. Defensively, and again, Andy Woodman was honest enough to admit it in the post match. Again, I was watching on a screen. Now I see I don't know how much attention we should pay to social media. I'm always skeptical about the loudest voices on social media. Chinakolia's caught a few pelters. It was his mistakes against Halifax. So I'm not going to try and cover for him there. But I'll tell you something, Cole. It weren't his mistakes. It weren't his mistakes on Saturday. The first goal, it was a nothing free kick, an absolute nothing free kick. Bromley had 2 or 3 attempts to just soberize it out the ground. Right?
Yeah,
just
totally.
Topoloy had one. Reynolds had one. Yes, I know Danny College handballed it, but the point is they still had chances to just boot it away.
But they gave him a second shot on goal.
Right, exactly.
Which is unforgivable. It should have been away. It should have gone off. Just get it away at that stage, you know.
The ball bouncing twice off an innocuous free kick is just you'd be angry if Bromley supporters did that. HLU did that if that goal had been.
I'd be throwing my water bottle.
Yeah, exactly.
At Norman Park.
That's how weak and soft that goal was. And arguably, Cole, you could even say the second goal, you could argue, was even softer because we had a throw on. I think Topoloy threw it to Bingham. Bingham passed it back to Topoloy. Topoloy got harried into just giving the ball away. Yeah. Then the ball broke free. Now, from my perspective, Cole, I thought Webster should either have put the man or the ball into the Barnet fans on the side. Anyone who's watching this, feel free to go back and watch the second goal again. But I think there was an opportunity for Webster to take man and ball at the same time. Instead, he kind of, I don't even know how to describe it. It's like he tried to toe poke the ball away, and was it Pritchard or whoever just got a toe poke ahead of him. But again, Cole, I don't exaggerate to say if that happened on Norman Park on a Saturday, everyone would be looking at the defender going, "What the hell was that, bro?" Like
there was a general sense of shock. I was watching from the side terrace. There was a general sense of shock. Like, how have we not cleared that? You know, if we get, and then your ball goes to Kabamba, and you're like, "Well, it's going to score, isn't it?" You know, because I think he's playing a couple of divisions below where he should be, and that was a quality finish. But you can't give him the ball there because you're going to get punished.
100%. And it was difficult enough playing Barnet, but we had, like I say, it's not excuses, but we have to be realistic. We gifted them 2 goals. Yeah, and that's why I said at the beginning, Barnet didn't have to significantly up their levels to score, because that's like any National League side. If they gift you 2 goals, most savvy National League sides are going to say, "Oh, well, we'll take that then. We're not dumb. We'll finish those off." and then we'll just close the game out. Thank you very much. So it was naive defending, and to go back to the original point, none of that had anything to do with Chinacoli.
No,
So
absolutely.
that's
Yeah.
what to kind of go back full circle. I'm not sure why some are giving him pelters because he weren't the one. It was the more experienced people making the mistake. The 19-year-old wasn't the one making
No,
the
wasn't.
mistakes.
It was completely out of character for the senior pros at the back on Saturday. Something just didn't click properly. I don't know what was going on, but you just thought, well, this is a really bad defensive day at the office, you know?
Mm.
Yeah.
So, final thing then, and take this whatever direction you want to go in. I guess 2 questions in one. Should we be worried? Should we be worried? Wealdstone are up next tomorrow evening. Wealdstone love to pop it. They love to pass the ball. They'll kill you with the passes. And I really like this. Stuart Maynard, their gaffer. Wealdstone, another team in the league who can significantly overachieve given their resources. Wealdstone remind me of what we were when we first got into the National League, where it's like, we shouldn't be doing as well as we're actually doing here. And they pop it about. This could be a more difficult season for them this season, now that everyone's kind of used to them. But the point is, they'll be moving us all around the pitch on Tuesday.
Yeah.
People often say that Woodman's sides need to have a plan B, but I don't even know if it's about plan B on Tuesday. For me, it's about, first and foremost, be defensively sound, keep a clean sheet, and start from there. So far versus Halifax and Barnet, we have literally gifted them 2 goals each. And yes, we don't look much like an attacking threat, which goes back to our discussion around the midfield. But I would say actually, I'd just like the team to go back to the basics, be defensively resolute. And this is going to sound weird, I'm about to say, Cole. I'd take 0-0. I know we need to score. I know in an ideal world we need to score, but I think we need to not lose before we need to score, if that makes any sense. I worry about not scoring afterwards. But right now we look like we have too many mistakes in us, which is all due to the myriad of things we've discussed. How would you approach Tuesday?
I'm looking for 2 things Tuesday. I'm looking for a point, so we break that duck. And I would love a goal. So if we draw 1-1 on Tuesday night, that's great. I'm happy with that. And actually, now you've said it, thinking about it, I'd probably take 0-0, but I think we need to score a goal because I think when you go 3 games without a goal, all of a sudden it becomes a thing. But yeah, absolutely, we can't afford to gift opposition goals, especially a team. Wealdstone have got our number. They've had us before. You know, we need to, we need to make sure that we don't concede on Tuesday night and then build from there. We need a point on the board, without a doubt. We don't want to be getting 3 or 4, 4 games into a season and thinking, Christ, we haven't got a single point yet. I think then it becomes a worry. At the moment, I'm not overly concerned. Going back to your first question, I think by September, mid-September, the team that we've got plus maybe 1 addition, that's plenty good enough to be competing in the top half, without a doubt. Unfortunately, any people that had title aspirations, we're going to be too far behind the big teams. But we can easily get into. But you get a run together, you can still make it into the top 7, no problem at all. But it's going to be down to the team getting fit, gelling, and then maybe 1 more addition, and we'll be all right. I've been watching the Burnley documentary on Sky. Burnley started last season terribly, and people forget that because by the end they're all saying, "Oh, what an incredible story," but they started really poorly. So it's not over because you've had a bad first month, but it's about improving quickly. So, and the longer we go without a goal, the longer we go without a point, people start to worry. You'll start to get grumbles. The atmosphere changes. We don't want that. We've been there, right? It's not. If we're finished mid-table this season, that's an achievement for me because of where we're and the size of club we are, the division we're in. you know, I pinch myself that I'm watching Bromley play in the National League since 2015. We've been in this league now, and we're live on telly. And I tell my son, like, it wasn't always like this. You know, you used to have to go to TNT Sports to watch the goal highlights. They didn't exist. It's
Yeah,
you know,
there is always there's always a sense that you have to keep a sense of perspective as to what's going on, and I guess I say that to say 2 games, 2 defeats, no goals. As much as some people might want to try and make that sound like a disaster, it kind of. I still always go back to the maxim that I've had for pretty much the last 3 seasons. Whenever Bromley go on a bit of a bad run, it is what it is, because
yeah,
at the end of the day, Woodman has proven over the last 3 seasons that even when we go on the bad run, he finds a way to turn it around. And whether that be recruitment, whether that be with injuries coming back, whether that be with change of shape, the one thing you can pretty much guarantee is it will turn around at some point relatively soon. It would be good if that starts with Tuesday. And ultimately, like you say, Cole, I think Pastley coming back is probably a big difference maker. It balances the defense out properly. It frees up Arthurs to go play where he needs to play, particularly with Vennings out. It frees up Whiteley to do what he's actually in the team to do, which is drive and create. And if we get that added bonus of Louis being able to start a game, then actually, Cole, that's as close to our first 11 as we're going to get before recruitments come in.
yeah, definitely.
And I think, as you say, that first 11 over a period of time is good enough to be fine. So let's see what we put out on Tuesday. Let's see what we put out on Tuesday. Let's reassess on Wednesday, Tuesday after that game. And thank you for coming on the deep
You're
dive.
welcome, mate.
Thank you for coming on the deep dive, Cole. Much appreciated. People who are watching this, put in the comments below. Should I keep Cole as a regular guest, or should I put him on the ducking stool?
I've been there before.
So, let me know in the comments below, Facebook group, whatever it is, wherever people see this. If you'd like to come on, in an ideal world, it would be good to obviously get somebody in from the opposition as well on the panel, and that's I think that's what I'll do as the season goes on, and I get more used to the format and have an actual recording schedule. But thank you to Cole for coming through. I want to say at the last minute it wasn't, but you know what I mean. And Cole. I'll hit you up again, bro. After this, after Tuesday night, let's chat again. I'll try and get a Wildstone fan on, and let's do another deep dive.
Okay, cool, nice one, man. Thank you.
Sweet people, you've been listening to From Bromley with Love. That was the deep dive of Bromley 0, Barnet 2. Stay locked in, like the channel, share the channel, subscribe to the channel, comments below, all of that jazz. Let people know. We'll see you soon.
Play a quick ball towards Whiteley. Squares it towards G.